Hey, I'm Scottie and thanks for joining me for this sketching tutorial where I'm going to show you how to sketch this tram right here. It's a really nice old tram with lots of detail, but I'll show you how to break it down into simple shapes and then move on to the detail. But first, it's important that I explain the perspective. So I printed off a picture of the tram here, and first I want to ask you, where do you think the eye line is here? Because that's one of the important things that we can work out when we're looking at perspective. Well, if this line here is exactly horizontal at the edge of the picture here, we have to find something parallel in the object. So this top roof is at an angle, so that's not where the eye line is, and it's not down here. And if I go up the different features, I try and find the eye line somewhere approximately here. So what I'll do is I'll put a line here. It's going to be a little bit shaky, but there you go, right across there. So that's our eye line, approximately there. Now we know that the eye line is great because if you extend the eye line out, which is also called the horizon line, we know that every single line here coming off the tram will connect to that horizon line somewhere. But that can be tricky when we have a small page like this. How are we going to work it out? So if I was to find the highest point of the tram, it would be here. So I'll put a dot here, and then if I find the lowest point, it's here. Then I go across here and I find the same point, but it's much lower. And across here, same point. So if we connect those, that'll be that face over here. So I'll connect that like that, and across the top and down that edge, that'll be the corner. Okay, and then if we come to the back here, a similar point would be here and the height here. So I'm just put it in a rectangular prism so you can see how simple this whole tram can be brought down to. Okay, so it's in a rectangular prism there, where these two lines, if they extend them out to the horizon line, they would touch at a certain point. And same with this side, if they were extended out, they'd come to a point on that line together. We don't always have a page that's big enough to fit those lines in. One little tip that helps with thinking this through is instead of drawing those out, you picture that all of the lines coming from this line are slowly fanning out at a steeper angle. So the lines closer to this here, you can see here, are quite flat. And then as they go further away, I angle them out further and further. And here there's quite a big angle. And here, just a slight angle, but then up here, quite a bit more angle. So you can see as we're putting in different features in this direction, we have to make the line steeper and steeper. It's almost flat, just a slight angle, and then it gets even steeper. Here. So now we understand a bit about the perspective of the tram. Let's move on to sketching. So actually I'm going to use my pencil here to help. So we want to get that eye line in, which we can draw with a pencil if we like that. We want to form this box so we just generally know where things are. So about here, we're putting a dot about here. So it's a bit off from the center, putting a dot here, and then putting a dot down here. And then we go down, angle down a bit to about there, and then straight down, and then down a bit here. So we've got a nice angle here, matching the tram. Okay, and then we go down the back, and a bit lower than this point, quite far down the end of the page here, a bit closer to that line, and this one goes higher than this point, and equal with this point, about there. Okay, and so we can rub that out later, and let me know if you like this step, adding in a bit of pencil for the construction. Okay, so now we've gone to my Uni-Ball vision pen with a micro tip. So I'll start just a little bit below that dot here, and I'm going to make sure we get that edge, the round roof there. That's important to get that. And then we go up, and we angle, following that same angle of those two dots, down like that. And we're just going to do a silhouette right across the top until we get to the other side. Now we want to aim for about here, somewhere around that dot there. So we go across here, that's a straight line, we're just silhouetting the shape. And about halfway, we get to that point where there's those wires, and we can just draw this slowly. Come across down this way. And there's another box here, and then it goes up. And down there. And then we get that curve, nice curve again on the back of the tram. So we have the two curves here. Make sure that's there. Okay, so that's the top. Now we'll go down both sides. So go down, in for the window, make sure we do that, and then we go down about halfway between the window and the bottom edge, it goes out. So let's go out here and back and then out again, and then we're going this way. We go diagonally across, and then we're aiming back across there. So we've got lots of straight little lines and then a wheel, and all those sides there and there. So we've got that bottom, just a rough quick sketch there, and then down this back side. Okay, so then we've got the silhouette. We've used those dots and we've got the eye line that helped us position everything. So the next step after the big silhouette is the main shapes. So we know that the curve of the roof starts here and ends there. So we'll try and do that and add a bit of a curve. And we just need to go up a little bit further. And I'd say it's about there. So just up a little bit, and that gives us an opportunity to add a bit of a curve on the front there. Okay, and then we make our way down to this point. So I'm looking down there now. If I'm a little bit off, I just wiggle to readjust. And then I'll do this front bit here, which will follow the bottom of the tram there. So that'll also have a nice curve. Where would that go? So from here, slightly down, just slightly down to here. Same point there where it finishes. And let's curve our way down to there. Then it goes in for the door. It's about there. And then all the way back to the back point there. Okay, so now we've divided into 3 sections. Now let's divide it in half. This point here, because this line here just below the windows is very close to that horizon line, that means that it's almost flat. So I'll put it there, just a very slight angle. But I'm trying to give it a bit of a curve still, just a very, very subtle curve. And then we have a door here, so it's about there, so you would come in a bit and then continue along and then go back down again. Point just there, just a little bit higher than this point. We go our way across. And we'll add in the door there later. But first this door here, this front door, we can see it goes to about here. Just kind of roughly guessing, and then coming down there, going back up. It's the top of the door there, going down like this. Now we've got that shape there. We want to now put the front windows in, and this can be tricky because it is a curved surface, so we want these windows to look like they're wrapping around the front. So we'll make sure we add in this a little bit of window here, which will help us see that there is 3 windows. Let's put some dots here. So that's the front window and that's the side window. Perhaps we'll exaggerate that this window needs to be a lot bigger than this window. So let's draw that top curve there, and then another top curve here. Now hopefully it looks like it's wrapping around. Now we're drawing this window and to there, and then straight down again. And now I'm drawing the wood section like that, and then curve around, just trying to follow that bottom line. Whoops. Back up again. And then the inside line. Okay, then we've got that window there. Okay, and we've got a line coming across here, which will really help us with those windows. So let's go that, just follow that horizon line. Okay, so now we need to do these windows. So I'm just going to draw some vertical lines. And do some vertical lines here and here. Okay, and then we want to divide this into 3, so I'm just going to put one line there and one line there. This is going to be the biggest one, and then this one. And now we can divide this, make it slightly smaller than this one, and then even smaller. Do these top windows. Just add those in, put them in loosely. I can do it more roughly now because we have a guide on where to go. I love these old trams. They've got nice bits of timber in them. And when we lived in Germany, well, my wife and I, we used to travel on trams into the city, and it was so good. So we've got those tricky windows in, and we'll also add some rectangles here. And my lines are quite wobbly, but they're all inside this framework. So that's why it still looks in proportion. We can see here that front bit there wraps around, so make sure it's circular and comes to there. And that's where these lights are. So I have one light here, just oval shapes. This one's more circular though. And then we have that light on the front. So I'm going into more details now because we've got all the main shapes. But if we draw a line from that middle of that window down, and then this light here will be an oval, just going nice and vertical like that. What else are we going to go into? Maybe the details at the top here. Be good to get done. Something there. There's a little number on the front. And then up here, we'll do this shape here. Now, because we've done all the crazy proportions there, now we can get a little bit looser. So hopefully I can hold my pen a little bit more loosely for some expressive lines. And I'm just impressionistic sketching here. There's lots of details that could be overwhelming at first, but we know it's all in the right position. So we're just adding in the impression that there's something complicated there, and there's that wire electricity cable running up to the rail, and like this little details there. And you can see there are almost little panels running, and that's great because we can show the curve of the top of the roof like that. Little rivets. Now the details in the bottom, and we want to continue that curve around again. Front part, and there's some things you can see here. You can just see it subtly there, and I'll add a little bit of the tram line here. So from the wheel, go like this, and once again following the other lines here. Just continue it up there. Quite flat there. Great feature here, the light, the mirror. And it has actually a windscreen wiper here. So it's really great sketching these because you have to look at it so carefully. Okay, let that dry, I've rubbed out the pencil, and now we're going to do some watercolor wash. The first step is to add some very light color. So I've got Paynes grey, and I'm just going to block in these different sections here. So just going across the whole area here. We can add in some ultramarine in there as well. It could look nice. Going back down there. So let's do that here. Around that light. Pulling it around there. And then on this side too. This section here. And as we go across, add some ultramarine into the mix. Now we have the orange, but I'll add a bit of yellow just to this section here, because the light is sort of focused around this area here. So that's why I'll start with yellow, cadmium yellow, and then I'll go to the cadmium orange. Just a nice bright orange. Go back there. Just keep it light still. And the orange goes around this section, around the door. It's there. There is a little bit at the back here as well. I missed drawing that door, but that's okay. Now we'll get the burnt sienna. Burnt sienna. Let's try adding burnt sienna and cadmium red. Let's see what sort of red I get in there. And we're going to do the front. That's a bit up here. And using that same burnt sienna and cadmium red to do the frames around the windows. There's a little frame in there for that window and across. What else? I've got a little bit of a window frame around here. And then around those windows we did before. They come down this side. Paynes grey just there. Now we're going on the underside, Paynes grey, and we're going to mix that with some violet. And we'll have our ultramarine ready as well. Mixing a bit of the violet here. The windows would be a mixture for me with Paynes grey and a little bit of purple lake, and maybe perhaps if they get further back we'll make them more filled with Paynes grey. I just wanted them to look different to the other areas where I've used Paynes grey. Ultramarine in there, some yellow. And the building behind the tram is a pinky reddy colour. So I'm not going to draw the windows, so what I'll do is I'll add a background and then with my white pen suggest the windows later. So I'll start here, well, a bit more pink than I was thinking. Down here. Then down here we need a bit more of a shadow coming off that tram, and we'll add this down here. Some more ultramarine in there. We're going to make the light in the middle here, so I'll add a bit of purple on this side and a bit of purple here, this purple lake, and then use my water brush pen just to add water to blend it out. So it's just mixed in. You can also add some shadows around there. So let's get some Paynes grey and also mix it with some ultramarine. And let's add these really dark shadows in here. There's a few there. There's a few in there. A bit darker. Even darker. And these sections of the signs are also darker than the top, so I add these in, just make that just slightly darker. We want these, we can add a bit more saturation, so we get some cadmium red. Put that on my old brush, spray it on, there's a bit there. Okay, I'll let that dry and then we'll add in the highlights. So we've got my Uni-Ball Signo pen here and we're going to do some highlights. So we'll make sure we get the top edge of things to see if that works. Like this. Little lines here, just edges to make things stand out. So this edge here would catch the light a bit. And lots of light here catching the metal, and down here as well. Little glints of light, and across the sign. We have a number here, 2, and inside the windows. And I might add some little lines here where the pavement is. And the windows, they come down, they angle a bit. So I'll use that just to do the windows. Okay, so I'll go to my Posca pen and put in some letters here. Not copying it exactly, just putting something rough there. I think those details will really help. So there you go, there's the tram. We worked out the perspective first, then we did the silhouette, made sure all the things are in the right perspective. Then we put in the main shapes, the details, laid a light wash on top, and then put in the details and the highlights. Thanks to all my Patreons who helped me choose this reference. I'll be putting the high-res reference with the video up there. And I've also got this tutorial here, which was the second most voted reference. So I'll put that up there for my sketching school tier. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.